Okay, so tonight Valarie is on, and I'm super excited because I haven't heard a ton of Valarie's stories, but I'm in a couple of group chats with her, and she's just amazing. And then I stalk her TikTok, and I'm gonna be imitating all of the videos that she does, so it's gonna be great. And I read a little bit about her story and saw that we had some similarities, and I was like, I just want to know more, and I'm sure my team does too. So I decided to ask her on a Zoom, and so here we are. So Valarie, I'm just gonna have you unmute yourself and just share a little bit about how you found this freaking crazy business and where we are today.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for that intro. I'm over here laughing about the TikTok thing. That's just who knew where that was going to come from. And I'm sorry if I'm slow. I have no idea what's wrong with my computer, but we'll just put that on my dream board to get a new computer. So if I'm too slow and it's distracting, tell me and I'll get on like my phone or something. So anyways, hi guys, I'm Valarie Reynolds. I'm a presidential diamond. I've been with It Works for 4.5 years. I am a former teacher and head volleyball coach. And so I had zero clue what this business was about. I was not a customer prior to this. My sponsor was actually just an acquaintance of mine from college. We weren't best friends. We even say that we weren't really even friends. I think our husbands knew each other and they probably knew each other better than what we knew each other. We met coaching club volleyball and she was coaching the age younger than me. I was 19 and she had just like started college. So we are like a year apart, and that's where we connected, was Facebook. And so we just became Facebook friends because we were at the same college. Didn't have anything else in common, didn't hang out with the same groups, nada. And she messaged me, and I was starting my my third year as a head volleyball coach, but it was my 6th year total coaching. My son was 3 at the time, and I'm married to a football coach. So volleyball and football season are at the exact same time. And so during that time, our life was crazy. And she messaged me right when we started season, and I flat out ignored her message. Like for a solid 2 months, I didn't even respond. Like, sometimes you just want people to tell you no, thank you. Like I didn't even give her that courtesy. So now anytime I get a message, I at least give people the courtesy of saying no, thank you, I'm not interested, because I was that jerk that ignored somebody for 2 months, didn't even respond. And didn't know anything about the business. And about halfway through that volleyball season, just something switched in my heart. And I went from wanting to be a teacher to truly just like, I didn't want to be there anymore. That was the best way I can describe it. Just, I was there for my students, and I love my students, and I love the game, and I love coaching. And I do miss it from time to time, but I was acting like a new mom. Like, whenever, if you're a mom and you take your newborn to daycare and you're like sobbing your eyes out, like you don't know how you can make it through the day. That's how I was, but he was 3. Like it didn't even make any sense. And so I just knew it was a heart thing. Just God was calling me to somehow figure out how to spend more time at home. I had no intention of staying home. I wanted to gain 2 extra hours a day. Like that's it. I wanted to be able to get off of work at 4 and be able to be with him from 4 to 6 instead of being the very last parent to pick up their kid at 6 o'clock at daycare. That's all I wanted. So I needed an extra $1,000 a month, and I didn't know who to talk to. And I just remember Whitney just on social media making money, staying home, and she had coached for a little bit. And so I messaged her back finally and said, how do you make money? And she got me on the phone. We had a 30-minute phone call conversation, and just something felt right. And that is not my personality type. I don't know if your team really know, I'm assuming they do like the personality colors. I'm a green and a red, and I'm like the Excel sheet, like I'm psycho crazy Excel sheet, like organization. That's just how I am. And for me to say yes to something 30 minutes in is not my personality at all. Like I would want to research it all, and I just felt it in my soul. I needed to say yes. So told my husband I'm going to do it. And he was like, and he's very, very supportive. He didn't really understand, but he basically just said, don't waste our $99. That's all he told me, like in a very coach tone, like just don't waste our money. And so I signed up the next day, I just thought we had wraps. I barely knew the company name, knew we had wraps. And it wasn't until after I became a rep, I was like, we have greens, we have this, and then I got really excited. It took me 17 days to sign up my first customer. So I did not come in hot. And I did work. I showed up, I was posting. The posts were not great. I messaged, but I did it anyway. And so I want to tell you guys that it did take me 17 days. Am I slow? Am I good? I don't know if it like, are we good? Okay, cool. It took me 17 days to sign up my first customer. And the reason I always tell people that is because some people feel like if they don't sign somebody in 2 or 3 days, they quit because they weren't successful. And that didn't happen for me. And so 17 days in, if I finally signed up my first customer, I went ruby in 2 months, emerald in 4, diamond in 5, and then it was just like a rocket. It just took off. I went double diamond in 7 months, and I did not, like I said, I did not start this business to stay home, but I started to have a bigger vision. The more I was successful, the more I kept doing what they just told me to do, and I just trusted that they were going to lead me in the right direction. I started getting a bigger vision, and I started telling my husband, I started playing around with that idea. Well, what if I hit double diamond? Like, that's as much money as I make as a teacher. What if I started playing that what if game? And that's what really expanded my mind. And so 7 months in, I retired from my teaching job, and I've been able to work from home for 3 years. I stayed at Double Diamond for 2 months, and that was a mindset thing that we can talk about if we need to talk about it. And then I went to a retreat, met a whole bunch of presidentials and ambassadors, realized that their same limiting beliefs and same fears were the exact same thing that I was at as a double diamond, and that I was no different than they were. And I went triple that exact same month. As soon as I released those limiting beliefs, I went triple. And then I went pres last March. And I've been top 150 for 2 years. So going from, I just wanted an extra $500 to $1,000 a month and not anything that this business has given me. It's been absolutely amazing. And especially with what we're going through right now, I'm feeling extra blessed that I'm not having to freak out when I get to work from home. My kids are home. My husband's here. They throw off my routine a little bit, but when that's my one complaint, like, I can't complain. So that's my story in a
I
nutshell.
love it. I love it. I love it. So tell me about this retreat. I'm curious. So like, what did you feel like you learned there? I know you said that you realized like, hey, they put on their pants the same way I do. Like, they're the same. They have the same, things that can hold them back. What do you feel like? Was there something like an exercise that you did, or something specifically that really changed things for you that you remember?
I remember 2 things. The first one was when we first got there. I knew my upline, and I knew like a couple of sidelines that were there, but I didn't know anybody else. And like y'all, I was like a small little fish. I mean, I was meeting like Melody McFarland and Rhonda Hartman, like these top names, and I was like freaking, like Erin Tweed was there, and I was like fangirling over her. She's like the sweetest soul, but I hadn't met her before. And so like I was like sweaty and like so nervous, and I'm an introvert. I'm not my TikToks make me look like an extrovert, but I'm so not an extrovert. I'm very much introverted. And so when I showed up, we all met in the living room, and one of my uplines is Ashley Sinclair. So this is at her house. And she asked everyone, what are your expectations for the weekend? And I struggle with being vulnerable. I've gotten better, but at that moment I was very vulnerable and I was scared. And I just said, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I'm a double diamond and I'm feeling very out of place. And so I just want to learn from you guys. Like, I just want to soak it in. And I want to say it was Amber Parker. She looked right at me and she said, if you hadn't have told us that you were a double diamond, I just thought that you're a president and ambassador like the rest of us. And that was one of these big aha moments that like, we are the ones that put these ranks on each other and put ourselves on this platform. I mean, yes, and people who are top 150 and triples and like VIPs and president ambassadors, I mean, they busted butt to get where they are and they deserve it, but they're no different than someone. We all started as a distributor. And so that was one huge aha moment. It was like, oh, okay, so they don't think I'm any different than they are. And then the other one is the very next day, we actually talked about our limiting beliefs. What are some fears that we have in the business? And some of them have been in a much longer than me, and they were afraid that they were a one-hit wonder. They were afraid they weren't going to be able to do it again. They were afraid that their time was up and that they weren't going to be able to sign another rock star or maintain their top 10 or their top 20 or whatever. And so I came to this realization that, you know, you feel like when you hit a certain level that those fears are gone, and they're not. If anything, you get more fears or bigger fears when you hit these ranks. But we've really worked on understand, like having like, say, this is my fear. Like, and as soon as you name it and as soon as you have it, you can say, okay, it's there. I recognize it, but you're not as scary anymore. Like, somebody else has overcome it. I can overcome you just as like I've overcome everything else. Every other fears that you've had in your life, you've overcome them to get to where you are right now. You can overcome this too. Like, it's not as big of a mountain as you really think it is. And so once I just kind of leveled the playing field in my head and realized these ladies are no different, when they're over here asking me how I'm signing people up, that was really a big realization. Like, they want to know what I'm doing. Like, so this, I can do this. And so it was just taking that pressure off of myself and really releasing that mindset of it's a bit too big of a mountain for me. And it really wasn't. It was just me getting in my own way for 2 years.
No, I love that. And I think sometimes we forget, like, dang, you know, we did all start with 0 people in our E-suite. We did all start with like, oh, and when I hit this rank, it doesn't solve all my problems. And I'm sure if any of you guys can relate to this, drop a 1 in the comments that you feel like you have to be somebody different to promote to the rank that you want to promote to. If you've ever felt like that, drop a 1 in the comments, because I know so many times I felt like, oh God, like, I don't relate to that person, so I have to become more like her. I don't relate to that person, so I have to become more like them. And it's like, and even with the colors, people do that too. I hear people all the time be like, I need to be more red, or I need to be more green, or I need to be more whatever in order to be successful. And the reality of it is this business wouldn't have been placed in your path if you didn't have already whatever it takes inside of you to be as successful as you want to be. And that is so, like, it feels so like mushy gushy and, oh, I'm saying this to make you guys feel good, but like the reality of it is that's just the facts. Like, I always tell people, I'm like, we don't serve a God that's just going to dangle a carrot in front of you and tell you, oh, this is what you can have, and then not give it to you. He's already put everything inside of you that you need to be successful. And so often we discount ourselves, like we count ourselves out and we say, oh, we can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. But I love what you said of like, just naming that fear, number one, can be so helpful, of saying, I'm afraid of whatever. And sometimes even when we say it out loud, it's laughable, because like it becomes like crazy. Like, wait, what am I afraid of? Like, that didn't even sound right coming out of my mouth. And I know I've done that exercise so many times, but then also when we have those fears, just letting them sit on the table with us. I've noticed that whenever I've tried, and this is any of you guys, like, if you have a fear, write it down right now, and just sometimes just let it sit there with you. Like, I think sometimes the harder and the stronger I try to push it away, it's like the fear just pushes back at me. Right. And it's like, oh, well, I'm not scared of this. I'm not scared of going live, and I'm trying to go live, and I'm trying to go live. And it's like, these things are butting heads, but really just saying, like, I am scared to go live, but I'm going to do it anyways. And kind of living in it and doing it anyways is something that really helped me. So when I recognize, like, oh, I don't have to not have that fear. I just have to have a desire that's stronger than that fear. And I have to remember why I'm doing this. So I love that. I think that's so good. Okay. So talk to us about, you doing this as a teacher, not making probably as much money as you want to make, but it's a steady salary. It's something that's secure. It's something that, when you go and be an entrepreneur, it's not like a clear path from a teacher to an entrepreneur. So like, thinking back to like when you first got started, how was that like mental shift for you? Like, I love what you said. It's like, it just started as those like what if questions, because it is a process. But how did, like, your friends react, your other, volleyball coach people, like, how was that for you?
So one of my biggest fears when I started was what people were going to think about me. I always say I'm a people pleaser. Because I really was scared of what everyone was going to say.
Like breaking up a little bit. Hold on.
Oh, am I back? Okay. So I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I was very nervous. Actually, it took me a while to reach out to my coworkers with the business, and so I just kind of started in Facebook and just kind of thought about the people that I normally would talk to on Facebook on a daily basis, and just kind of started there. And I would message, and my messages, like, I would word vomit over people. I would give them way too much information. My messages were so long; it took up like probably the whole screen. And so there are obviously indications as to why I was finding people too. But I just kept doing it. I just kept showing up, and I really feel like the shift happened. I know I feel like I'm so slow. Maybe I need to just fire on my phone and just take 10 minutes.
Oh, is it breaking up for anybody else? Okay. Okay, yeah.
If you can hear me, I'm trying to get on with my phone because I don't know what's wrong with my stinking laptop here.
It's the virus. It got into your laptop too. Is it too soon? Sorry, I just decided to do some of those things.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, perfect. We're just gonna do it this way then, and I just need a new laptop. Yeah, my computer probably got coronavirus or something. It's fine. So, anyways, we were talking about being a recovering people pleaser, and
just like what, like, you were thinking, what was everybody gonna think, going from being like a teacher to like an entrepreneur, and like just the mental shift that kind of has to happen.
Yeah. So I actually had, my friends were very supportive. My friends that are still my really good friends, even after I stopped coaching, they were very supportive with me stepping away. But ironically, they were not customers. I think maybe one out of the 6 girls on the coaching staff was a customer of mine. Nobody was a rep of mine. They just kindly said no, but they were supportive in my adventure. And I mean, they threw me like a going away party. Like they surprised me with balloons and gifts and all of that stuff, and said they're going to miss me. And so they're still very, very supportive. Some of them eventually became customers like later on, but they actually didn't become customers whenever I was pushing to retire, I guess. I found a lot of my customers came from people that I least expected. Even my parents weren't a first customer of mine. My mom's very like set in stone, didn't want an auto ship, none of that stuff. My best friend actually was my first customer, her and her husband, and then she actually became my first distributor 2 weeks later. She is still with me, and I know that's like a unicorn thing. She is my first distributor, is still with me, my right hand woman. And so she was very supportive at the very beginning, but it really was like, it was like acquaintances from high school. It was like friends in high school. It was just people that were on social media. Yeah, there's Liz, she knows. And so the people that I was really close to, they supported me. And so that was not the reaction that I expected. I was expecting a little bit of a pushback, a little bit of a like, I'm not sure what you're doing right here. This is kind of a scam. But the more they watched me, the more they supported me. But my first customers were people that I hadn't talked to in years. We just kept up with on social media. And so a big thing I would tell you guys is just to don't count anybody out, because the people that you expect to support you might not, but just because they might not doesn't mean the other person won't, you know? And so I feel like that's just kind of something that holds a lot of people back is, well, if this list of 5 people that I feel like are going to support me, if they don't, well, then obviously this other list over here isn't going to support me. And that's just not true. It's not true, because the ones that I thought were going to support me they supported me, but they didn't become a customer of mine. And you can have all kinds of different support. And the ones that I was scared to message, or the ones that I thought were going to be like, why are you talking to me? Like, I haven't talked to you in years. They were so nice. And they were like, yes, I want to help you. Yes, I've been hearing about this. Yes, tell me more about it. And they were some of my first customers. And so it had a little bit of irony there. And so just it really taught me, don't count anyone out, and also don't count your follow-ups out either. Be a follow-up machine, because once I finally signed up that first customer 17 days in, it was all follow-up from there. Like, I had tons of signups. Like, don't ever feel like if you have a list of people who say they're all going to sign up on the 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, and it's over here like the 10th, and you're like, oh, I want to sign people. This month isn't going how I'm wanting to. I'm not a good enroller. It's no, like, those are still wins. Those sign up dates are still wins, but keep putting people on your list, trying to fill in the other dates until you hit this other list. A big mistake is you sit on that list thinking, oh, well, I got 5 people ready to go. And then you stop working. And then sometimes those people fall through, and you could have added more people to your list. And so I had a big wave. So it took me 17 days to sign up my first customer, but I had like 15, 16 customers that first full month, because I signed up like on the 28th of September. So October 17th was my first loyal. And then the second half of the month, I had like 15, 16 customers. But it was all because I kept going. And even though I had those mental thoughts of, this isn't for me, nobody's saying yes, that was a lie. People were saying yes, just that we had to wait till payday. And I stuck around for that payday, and I was consistent up until that payday. They kept seeing me over and over and over again. And I was letting them know, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. Like, you will sign up on the day that you told me. So you have to be consistent. Those sign up dates are so important. They are wins. They are not losses. And once you wrap your mind around that, and you really start looking at your business in terms of wins and not what's going wrong, but what's going right, you will find you find what you look for. And so if you want to look for reasons why this is not going to work, if you want to find people, if you expect people to not have money, you're going to find that. If you expect people to say no, you're going to find the no's. If you expect people to ignore your messages, you're going to find those messages. You manifest everything that you think. Like, that's science. Like, our mind will literally manifest different chemicals when we have positive thoughts and when we have negative thoughts. Literally, we manifest different chemicals in our brain. So if we can do that, then we have this vibe, we have energy. I mean, I'm a science major. Okay, guys, when I told you I'm green, like, I'm like all nerd, get out. Like, don't let the eyelash extensions confuse you, because I'm bougie, but I'm also a big nerd. Okay. And like, our atoms, the things we are made out of, actually have a frequency. Like, when we say you need to resonate at a high frequency, literally your atoms, like, they shake, they vibrate. You have a frequency. Your body is made up of a frequency. And so when you have that high energy and you put that out there, you will get it back. You will. And so you will find what you look for. And so start looking for the positives. Stop looking for excuses why it won't work. Stop looking for excuses why, other people are successful and you're not, because that's just not true. It's just not true. You're just allowing that to be one of your limiting beliefs. And like we said before, you just have to put that out on the table and say, this is a reason why this is not working. This is a limiting belief I'm believing. And I gotta release it. I gotta release it. And I gotta start focusing on the things that I want in life. I want to hit ruby. I want to hit diamond. When I hit diamond, I can breathe so much easier. When I hit double diamond, I can retire from my job. Or when I hit triple diamond, I can bring my husband home, or whatever your goal is. That should be where your focus is. But we just have, our brain is so primitive. Our brain wants to protect us, but when I say it's primitive, like, it used to have to protect us from things that would harm us, things that would kill us, because we have to like go hunt our food. Like, we had predators. Like, we don't live in that sort of life anymore, but our brain still functions that way. And so when it can't protect us from actual things that will physically hurt us, it will find other things that is going to make us believe that it's going to hurt us. And so those fears, those doubts, we latch onto those, and we are so scared of them to the point that we are paralyzed. And that is just your brain taking control, and you are letting it take control. And you just got to take that back. You just have to take your thoughts back, your brain back, because you can control this up here. And once you start to control it and you start to recognize and have that awareness of, this is my fear, I recognize it. I mean, I have fears all the time, guys, but my fears last so much shorter now because I've trained my brain to say, hold on, that's a fear. This isn't serving me. This isn't going to bring my business any good. It's not going to bring my team any good. And plus, I know that God did not give me a spirit of fear. So this little fear is not from God. And so therefore, it's not of me. Like, it doesn't make me who I am. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to replace it with what God told me. And so I have to base my life on his truth. And that is so, so, so freeing. I know that I'm kind of went off on a tangent, but this is something I'm so, so passionate about, because it hurts me to see so many people living in fear when we are not made like that's, we are not made to live in fear, yet we sit in fear for so, so long. And I just want you guys to be free of that, because then your business is going to grow. You will grow as a woman. If you're a wife or a mom, it'll make you a better wife. It'll make you a better mom. You're just going to see the world so much differently. You'll be a better leader because of it. And so I know I'm speaking to the masses, whether you're newer, you've been in a while, that's just a reminder you need to have. So just, I know we started with like at the very beginning, and you're the transition from being a teacher to being an entrepreneur, but really was that big fear. It was that big fear thing. And if anything, this business has taught me that fear is not going to hurt me. Like, it's not something that is going to, it's something that's not going to physically hurt me. And so I can overcome that fear. I just have to choose to be strong enough to overcome that fear. And you are strong enough to overcome that fear.
I love that. So good. It's so good. It's so good. So let me ask you this. What is like the message that you're sending out right now for your team with all the craziness going on?
So we are doing host to post. I won't even lie to you guys. Since I've been on TikTok, I cannot tell you the last time I sent a distributor message, because they are coming to me. Like right now, I see my phone, like I'm trying not to get distracted, because I put an opportunity TikTok up this tonight, and my phone has been getting TikTok, 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 TikTok. And so, and I've not been the attraction marketing type where it's like, put this up and put a call to action and people blow up your phone. Like, I would get excited when I would get a message, because I didn't get them very often. And so personally, that has kept me very busy. So I have been a mixture of responding to these TikTok people, talking to them about being a distributor, following up with them, telling them about the codes. And then I've been focusing on host to post, and that's where I've been putting a lot of my product stuff, cleanse, TFX, and really just putting stuff out there and hoping it sticks, because I feel like that's how host to post is sometimes, just like put it out there and hope something works. But for my girls who are still struggling with TikTok, or that's not the platform for them, because it's not for everyone, they're still sending, we're just tweaking messages just a tad, where we are being a little extra sensitive to people. And really, I'm just telling my girls, like, just focus on working from home, but focus on breaking up all of the negative energy and all of the chaos and the panic that's on your feed right now. Because you while it may be a little odd to kind of send, like, I still think you need to be sending messages, but you will know in your gut who is going to be too sensitive to maybe reach out to right now. Because you don't want to give us a bad rap either. Like, you don't want to be insensitive to people. You still want to definitely be sensitive to people. But the stuff that you're putting out there on social media right now, that is showing who you are. Because yes, It Works is the micro brand, but you are the bigger brand. And we always preach, I know so many leaders preach, that you sell. Like, it's not the product that sells. It's you are the one. People are going to buy into you before they ever buy into the products or the business. And so right now is an amazing time for you to really show who you are as a person. Like, I really feel like your newsfeed right now is showing a lot of true colors of people that would be amazing in your business because of the light that they shine on what's going on. And or they're taking the other route and maybe they're reacting and it's not that great of a reaction, or maybe they're showing sides that maybe you've never seen before. And so I would take this opportunity to really focus on who is out there that's looking at this in a positive light, who is really going to vibe well with your team, and start putting those names down and start interacting with those people and engaging with them on social media and just having those side conversations with them that have nothing to do with the business. And then in a couple of days, maybe a week, then you can get a little brave and then it won't be so insensitive because you have been talking to them for forever. But people are going to be buying into you. And so show who you are, be positive, be bright, try to focus on any positivity or just give encouragement. That's what I've been doing. I've just been giving all of the encouragement, really quoting scripture about fear and really showing that passion that I talked about with fear and understanding that God did not give us that spirit of fear. And it's just, yes, I understand. Like I'm a businesswoman now. And so I know that that's part of my brand and people are already connecting with that. And they're going to say, this is who Val is. Like, why is she how she is? What is this business thing that she does? Like, it's going to start to provoke questions. They're going to get more curious. And when you do start to post more about it, they're going to be interested, and it may take time for that to happen, but so I know that's going to happen. And so when I'm posting stuff, yes, I know in the back of my mind, this is part of my brand and who I am. And I want to attract the right people. But also at the same time, I just don't want people to hurt. Like, I want to break up the news feed. And because there's so much out there that's causing panic and fear. And so if I can just be that one little glimpse of hope or that one little reminder, hey, smile, like it's gonna be okay. Like, that's all I need to do. And I know eventually that can go and help me, but I'm just trying not to be insensitive to it. So you still want to be messaging. I feel like host to post is a really great way to do it right now. And if you need distributors, start doing distributor host to post. I've had a ton of people still willing to do host to post for me, because I get up at 6 a.m. right now. So my little routine, because my family's home, my husband's home, my son's home, everybody's home. I get up at 6 and I'm not a morning person. Like, you can ask my team, like, do not talk to Val at 6. Like, just don't do it. She will bite your head off. But I am up working at 6 a.m. even though I don't like it, because I can get a solid 2 hours of work done before my family even gets up, before they come and bust through this door, like over here. And so I can spend the rest of the day reacting to messages, answering people. But I know in my heart, I spent a solid 2 hours uninterrupted doing my devotional, getting my journaling done. I responded to my TikTok people, my little applications that I have. And then once I get through all of those, I will, today I did not follow up. I did host to post. I sent like 40 host to post messages, and I've gotten maybe 6 to 8 up today. And that's what I did. Tomorrow I'll probably focus more on follow up, but people are still saying yes. And I had that fear this morning. Like, when I sent those host to post messages, I had that little fear of, I don't want to interrupt somebody's day. Like, am I being insensitive to them? But y'all, I got an overwhelming response. I had one person tell me no, thank you. And I just wished her a good day. Like, that's fine. But I had so many say yes. And that just shows that, like, our fear, like, you just don't know. Like, that fear, I don't know who said it, if it was Taylor or somebody, that it was like, we can turn that fear into reality. And it's like, but really it's not reality until we actually do it, like until we get over it. And I just got an overwhelming response, like positive response today. So even I still have those moments. And so just, you won't know until you actually go and do it. So just don't be scared and be positive. And you know that you're doing a good job when you get those messages and you get the comments. I'm loving the positivity and the encouragement that you're posting. I'm starting to get those messages now. And so that just shows me I'm on the right track. I'm on the right track, and I'm planting those seeds, but I'm showing people who I am, what this business has done for me, but who it's made me as a person, like that's what people are wanting right now. So people are wanting hope. People are wanting positivity. People are wanting encouragement. So be that person for them, because they're going to want what you have. Sometimes it's about money, but I feel like right now people just want someone who's at peace, and they want to know how to get that. And so show them that. Like, if you're that person, show them that.
It's so good. It's so good. So you're signing up customers, distributors. You sign up a distributor. What are your typical first steps to helping get them started?
So we've revamped our training page, and we're still working through the kinks. So I'll tell you what I'm doing now, but it's still kind of through the trial run. Um, we have like a welcome post in there where we tag them in it, but I also have like a little message that I send them saying, this is day one, this is what you're working on today. And all we have them work on for day one is an intro post where they kind of tell their story about how they found their sponsor, like on social media, and that they're building a portfolio and that they love your help. And I make them post it with a pretty picture of themselves. So that's the first thing, is get on social media and get it out there that I'm doing this. And then the second one is they create a list of 20 to 50 people, just names off the top of their head. I kind of give them, if they don't know where to get the names, I will give them some direction on where to find them, but 20 to 50 people. And then out of that 20 to 50 people, message just 10 today, and I tell them, like, if you get through that 10 and you feel like you can do more, go do more. Like, I want people to be able to understand they can go do more, but I have some, like 10 makes them want to pee their pants. And so I tell, like, just 10, just give me 10. Let me know how you're feeling. Okay. And so that's what we get them started with. Of course we have them download like the apps and get in an e-suite and all of that stuff. But those are the two main tasks, because that really helps me see who's willing to go ahead and jump in, because of course you're going to have some that maybe don't do them on the first day. And so you can kind of already gauge with who's really, really hungry, and maybe who's one you're going to have to hold their hand a little bit more, be willing to do both. Some of them may be willing to kind of take off without your help, but that's okay too. So we do that day one. And then day two, I have a little video. So the way our training page is set up, we have 6 non-negotiables, so like your 6 list, and we have the page set up where it's post 1 through 6, and each post will kind of describe the non-negotiable. And so like the first one is social media, posting on social media. So it kind of gives them a little bit of a description of like how to post on social media, how many times you should post. And then we have a photo album they can choose from. And this is where I really like the flexibility, because before we used to tell them, just post this. Day 1, post this. Day 2, post this. And what I found were some people either like didn't like coffee, or they were pregnant, so they weren't comfortable with posting about something that they weren't going to use. And so what I tell them is, I want you to go to those albums, find one you're excited about. Just go find one you're excited about, click it, and go through those photos. And what we did in those photo albums is we put real product photos that we've taken. And if it has a results photo like Keto Coffee or Collagen or Hair, Skin, and Nails, they have results photos there for them to use. And then we've screenshotted posts that we have made as a team, and we put them in there too. And so I tell them, if you're excited about Hair, Skin, and Nails, go click that album, go find a post somebody else made. Maybe it was me, maybe it was my sponsor, maybe it's somebody on my team, and find one that you like, and just go and just sample word it, and like they have to actually go and type it out, because it's just a screenshot of it. And so they get to pick wording that they are comfortable with. They get to pick their photo, so it's giving them flexibility. And I tell them, if they need me to like check it, send it to me first, but it's teaching them how to post, but they have the flexibility to be able to. And I tell them, if you want to post about TFX and coffee for a week, post about TFX and coffee, because for weeks, that's all I posted about was Skinny Brew. Like, that's all I posted about. And so why do they have to have this like array of all these different products? Just pick the ones that you're super excited to try, and we can word it in a way where you may not have used it yet, but we can say you're excited to try it. This is something that happened with my friend Kelsey. These are her results. I need 10 product testers, or something like that. And so that's really been working well for them. So they have that, they have their messages. There's another post about messages. So we tell them to work through non-negotiables 1, 2, and 3, like day 2.
kind of get their groove going on that one. And then day 3, I have another YouTube video where I explain days or non-negotiables 4, 5, and 6. So I'm telling them within those videos, like just they're 5-minute videos, but just keep doing these. I keep repeating it over and over to them. Just keep doing these over and over and over. Like you're not doing anything wrong. Like literally show up on social media, make a post today, go back to those photo albums, find something that you like the wording, post about it. Make sure that you send at least 10 messages today. If you get froggy, send 10 more. And, and then kind of go through the rest of them. But sometimes those newbies just need that reassurance of like, I'm just messaging and just posting. Like I may add friends and all that stuff later, but like, that's what I'm doing. Like my first 2 or 3 days, I'm like, yes, that's it. Like just reassuring them that's what you're doing. Like those are your wins. And then about day 4 or so is when I introduce them to host to post. Some people introduce it right away. I walk them through the non-negotiables before we start doing host to post. And then they can do like our contests and all of that stuff. But I've really enjoyed the flexibility of the group, that it's not here, make this post, here, make this post, here, make this post. And so I'm seeing them now get in their stories, posting what they want to post about. So they're getting more confident and just allowing them to be a newbie, like understanding I made posts that I kind of cringed at. And so sometimes I see their posts, I'm like, you posted, great job. Like, that's okay. That's okay. Like, I have to remember, like, that's okay. And that's a check for me as a leader that, it's okay for them to be a newbie. They don't have to be a professional on day 3. So that's what's been working for us. So we've had a
That's
lot
so
of newbies
true.
really like that flexibility.
It's so true. And like, I think that like, it's hard, when you get into the business and you start to think that you haven't figured out, and then somebody comes in and you're like, but no, but I know better. And you just want to like help them. Um, and understanding like we have to celebrate those wins. Like you said, even the win and the follow-up. It's a win when you get a follow-up date. Stop looking at it as not a win or as a loss when you don't sign them up today and you just get a date. And stop looking at it as a loss when like some newbie that you sign posts something super spammy, because I cringe every single time I go back to my memories knowing there's something horrific that's about to pop up. Like it's embarrassing when I go back and look and I'm like, poor Erin, she was just cheering me on the whole time, like, good job, you did so great. I'm over here like, oh my God, why the heck did you let me post that? But it's kind of like with our kids, right? If any of you guys have kids, it's, when they color you something, you're like, what is that? They're like, it's a horse. And you're like, oh, it's a beautiful horse. It's great. Because they're eventually going to get better. It's not going to be like that for the rest of their life. And so the fact that they drew the horse and made the effort is going to be so much. You can reward that and then you can correct it as you go. And so I think that's such a good reminder to everybody on here is just doing it, just doing it. So tell us about a time, like what do you think the hardest lesson you had to learn in this business was? Like a time where you feel like, oh, I really fudged that one up, but like looking back you're like, okay, I've really learned a lot from that experience.
Oh, there's a few. There's a few. I would say the one that's coming to my head right now is after I went double diamond, I resigned from my job and I hit my first downfall in GV. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on because I just known growth. And even after I went double diamond, had a couple more like rubies pop. And so we kind of maintained that GV and we were steady for a few months. And then I lost rank and GV started to fall. And I had just started staying home. And then so I retired in May, and by October I was pregnant with our second. And so then I had hormones on top of that, and it was a girl, and so she made me sick. My boy was like the easiest pregnancy, and my daughter, it's like me all over again. Like it's karma, I think, that God's giving me with my daughter. And so I was sick. I was extremely tired. I took lots of naps. And so I couldn't work my business the way that I really wanted to. And while I did use it as an excuse, I could have worked harder, and I will tell you that. But at the same time, I also was tired. And so I started getting resentful with my team. And that's something that I am not proud to say. But I started feeling that resentment, that anger, that y'all, I have worked so hard. Like, why can't you guys work hard now? Like, why does it always have to be me? Why am I always the one that have to do the Zooms? Why? And I started feeling that resentment and that anger and that frustration. And that is something that, while I am not proud of, it is something I always think about whenever we have another moment where GV falls, because I've had GV fall. I've had it go up and I've had it go down. I've had it go up and I've had it go down. And that's something that has been rolled over year after year after year, because I mean, it's part of it, right? Like, the fall hits, the winter hits, and I never want it, because I know people have promoted during those times too. But we do take a little bit of a hit, where we may even maintain rank, but we do take a little bit of a hit. And so that rolls over into even last year. We went prez, and then we maintained it for a little bit, but then we lost it again. And I had a lot of new girls and a brand new big leg step away. And that was very hard for me with GV, but I was remembering how I was when I first did it. And I said, I'm not going to do that again. Like that, I was ugly. I was not proud of it. And it was maybe an ugly, like inside, like maybe they may not have ever seen it, but I knew that it was in here, and I didn't want that. And so this last time around, when we were losing ranks last year, I was like, I was like a different person. I dove really hard into self-development and said, God, I know this is not of you. I know you have big things coming for us. I know there's like something you need to be teaching me. You're teaching me to be humble. You're teaching me to be a better leader. You're teaching, other people to step up, like whatever it is, continue to teach me, but I am not going to go down that path of resentment. I am not, because I didn't like it. And so if there's one thing that has stuck with me, is you can literally be at peace when you have seen a super low GV after having a very high GV for a while, and you can put your head down at night and say, it's okay. Like, God has got this. He's blessed us tremendously. He can do it again. He continues to provide. And you can go to sleep, because I lost sleep, and I'm not an anxious person, but I've had moments of anxiety. And I had to give that all to him and say, this is not who I'm supposed to be. And so I know those are indications I'm focusing on the wrong thing. So I need to step back and start focusing on the right thing. And that really, truly just flipped a switch, like where it's my mindset's totally different now than what it was when I went prez this month last year. Just how I am as a person, how I see the world, how I see life, how I see my team, how I see everything. It's just totally different. But this business has just taught me so much, and it's tested my faith. It really has tested. If entrepreneurship, I think, is the one thing that can truly, I mean, as a teacher, my faith was tested, my patience was tested, but my faith has really been tested being an entrepreneur, because you really have to rely on God to say, like, listen, you got it. Like, you got this. Like, here's my work. I can't just sit back and not do anything. But it's like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. I'm going to do my messages. I'm going to do everything you tell me to do. I'm going to do it to a high level. I'm going to show up and be consistent every day. And I know you will bless me. And it may not be my timeline. And I'm going to get frustrated because it's not my timeline. But I should never be frustrated with his timeline, because his timeline is always perfect. And he's always going to show me and be like, look, aren't you glad you waited? Because it's so much better with my way than with your way, isn't it? So patience and being able to capture that resentment, because I mean, let's just face it, if you have a team, you've had people join, you've had people quit, you probably have experienced resentment, even if you're brand new. So don't let that darkness in, because that's just not who you're made to be.
I love that. And it's so true. It's so good. I think everybody experiences that. Like, I've even experienced it with people who don't like join, or like, I'm like, gosh, you like, I remember getting so emotionally attached to potentials at the beginning, of my business, and being like, this potential was going to join. And then I'm pissed at that person. And it's like, gosh, now I look back and I'm like, thank you, Jesus, for protecting me from that cancer. Thank you, Jesus, for not letting that on my, not like that energy onto my team. Like, and I think we sometimes think we know best. And especially if you guys are come from any athletic sort of background, and I know, Valarie, you can relate to this. It's like we're taught, like, if it's not good enough, you work harder. And in entrepreneurship, it's not necessarily always that. It's let's work smarter, let's work with people, let's figure out solutions, because I think that's how it is for everybody. It's like work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder. And it's like you can only work so hard, but you can help so many people. And so when you stop viewing it as like this hustle and this grind, it's like we've glorified it, right? Like we've glorified the hustle and the grind. And it's like I've been recently praying, like, God, bless my work 10 times what I'm actually doing. Like, don't just like bless like what I'm doing, like 10x my work. Like, I don't want to be on the grind and the hustle. I want to be on that. I'm going to work and be obedient to what God says. And then he's going to be the one that actually does all of it. That like I'm working, but he's blessing it. And I think there's been so many times, like I remember even going ambassador. I was telling one of my girls this today, I was like, one month I went ambassador, I went on a date night 2 times with my husband that month. I was like, because I know that God won't bless something that's out of order. And his order is him, my marriage, my kids, and then everything else. And if we don't have that order right, if we're neglecting those areas, it's like you can be get up and hustling your business at 6 a.m., but if you forget to make time for Jesus, then that's not the right order. And my husband had to remind me of that. And I just remember thinking like, dang. And he said, how is God going to give you more people to bless if you're not even leading yourself in the right way? And I think some of us have to check ourselves and say like, cause we like I don't remember how you worded it at the beginning. It was so good when you said like, we put these ranks on ourselves and we define ourselves by these ranks. And it's so true. It's like, wouldn't you rather be like, even if money is your goal, like I would much rather be a presidential diamond earning $35,000 a month than an ambassador diamond earning $17,000. And there's both, you guys. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell you there's both. There's a ruby who might make $400 a month, and there's a diamond that might make $400 a month. It doesn't matter. Just be concerned about what you know and what you know about yourself to be true as well. And that identity has to come from God. So is there anything last that you would want to finish out with? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I couldn't unmute myself. I kept clicking my screen and it kept going away and I couldn't do it. If there's one thing that I would leave you guys with, it goes back to, I feel like the theme of this Zoom, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the theme of the Zoom has been fear. And something that I have personally learned through my personal development is just know your truth. Know your truth. That is something I'm going to do. Shameless plug. I do have a podcast in case you guys don't know. This is something that's been a passion project of mine, but it's called the Beautifully Enough podcast. And it's a weekly devotional that I do, but I've noticed with every podcast, I keep having the same outline over and over and over again. I've just applied it to my business. I've even taught it to my girls, that once you recognize your lie and understand that it's a lie, that it's a fear, replace it with the truth that God has for you. And so anytime that I am struggling, because I want you to hear, and Kelsey said it too, like we have the exact same struggles. If anything, they're even multiplied when you hit higher ranks, but you need to replace them with the truth. And so anytime that I'm struggling with like patience, for example, because that's not a gift that God maybe necessarily gave me, but I know it's a fruit of the Spirit that I need to be producing. So I will go and just simply Google patient verse. And so I will recognize that I am being impatient, whether it's with maybe my team or my family or my husband or whatever. And I will go and search it and I will find that verse. I mean, the Bible's the only truth that I know. I can have my own truth. The world can have their truth, but the Bible is my truth. And so I will go to the Bible and I will find that verse and I will find one that really speaks to me and I will read it and I'll find a different translation until I find one that I just like grasp onto. And I say, okay, I may feel impatient right now, but God did not give me that. Like, here's my truth about it. Like, here's what I'm supposed to do with it. If you're feeling anger, go find something about an anger verse or frustration or fear. Or if you are an introvert and you're timid, go find something like that. If it's your marriage, if it's your relationship, go find it. It applies to everything. And I've learned this works literally every time. I go and I read that truth, and it's like, God will remind me, like, this is how I made you, Valarie, not the other way around. And he will give you this peace. I mean, it says it in the Bible. It's like that you do not be anxious about anything, but in everything with prayer and petition, you give it to him. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding. Like, basically, we don't understand it, and you're not meant to understand it, but he's going to give it to you anyways. And so that's something that relates not just personally, but it relates to me business wise, because there are moments I may have fear. There may be moments that I have frustration. I'm like, where's my enrollment? Am I ever going to put somebody in the system again? Are we going to be able to re-rank? Or are we going to be able to hit the GB that we need to? All of the, are we going to build momentum up again? And so you go and you find them, find that truth, read it, and really ingest it. But the key is to practice it, because so many of us may even know these verses, and you may have heard it, but they're just like something in our head that we just didn't click on. Like, you just don't repeat it over and over and over again. And one of my favorite podcasts is the Big Life devotional podcast. And she was talking about that they have like these two wolves in your head, and one of them is fear, or whatever you want to put there. And so fear, and then you can have the other one of like your truth. And so the question was, which wolf is going to win? And the answer is whichever one you feed. And so if you are constantly focusing on the fear wolf, like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to be successful, nobody's going to tell me yes, everyone's going to ignore me, you are constantly feeding. It's what's happening on social media right now. Everyone is feeding the fear wolf, because that's all they are saturated with. It's all they're reading over and over and over again. So this is the one that's going to survive, and you're starving the other one. And so you have to stop feeding the fear and start feeding the truth. And when you start feeding it, you're saturating yourself with that truth. And that's what's going to give you the peace, and give you the confidence to be able to go forward, and the courage to be able to go forward. It's really, truly transforming just to do that simple exercise, but you have to feed it. Go feed it. You can't just know it and then continue to feed this other one. You have to feed the wolf that you want to feed. And that's going to motivate your business. It's going to give you the energy to do the business. It's going to give you the confidence to do it. And then you get that excitement, that excitement when you start messaging people, like, that's what's going to give it to you, because you're coming from the place you need to be coming out of, not from the place of fear. So just, if I had to teach you anything, is stop feeding the fear and start feeding your truth, but go find that real truth, because it can't be the truth of the world, because that is minimal and it's not going to last. You have to find that real stuff.
I love that. It's so good. It's so good. I'm just going to close us out in prayer. But before I do that, I just really want to say thank you so much for spending your Monday night with us. I appreciate it. I don't take it lightly when people take the time to do this. And so just know that I really greatly appreciate it. So thank you. Dear Jesus, we just come to you today, and we're so grateful for Valarie and just her wisdom that she poured onto us tonight. We ask that you bless her business. Everybody under the sound of my voice that's either watching this live or that will watch the recording, I ask that you enlarge their territory, that you make our hearts pure, and that you don't give us anything beyond what our character can sustain. Lord, I ask that we are just overcome with your love and your wisdom, and that we feel that your arms are wrapped around us. And even though there's so many people saying one thing, let us go back to, like what Valarie said, the only truth that we know, which is your word, which is the Bible. And when we are led back to that, we have a peace that does transcend all understanding and surpasses everything that we've known or everything that we might hear. And it might not make sense to the world around us, but it makes sense in our hearts and our souls, and it feels good. Anything that is good comes from you, and we know that. And so let us just be on high alert that there's a lot of false stuff going around, and that does not come from you. That spirit of fear you do not give us. And so help us be stronger than ever to cast that out, but bring people together in a positive way. Use this time, Lord, to make us even stronger, so that when anything like this comes again, we can look back and say, we survived this. And so we survived that. So we're going to be able to survive this. We ask all of this in your name, Lord. We love you so much. Amen. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have an awesome night.